The sun bled gold across the horizon, setting the red dust of Dusthaven ablaze in the fading light. The small frontier town sat quiet, as though holding its breath. The only sound came from the old courthouse at the end of Main Street, where the townsfolk had gathered like vultures to witness the trial of Evelyn Hart, the woman everyone whispered about but no one truly knew. Inside, the air was thick, a mix of sweat, perfume, and judgment. The creak of the wooden benches carried the weight of gossip, each murmur like a spark threatening to ignite. Sheriff Cole leaned against the doorway, hat low over his eyes, keeping order with the silent authority of a man who'd seen too much. Evelyn sat at the defendant's table, hands clasped tight in front of her, wrists bruised from the iron cuffs she'd worn for 3 days. Her dark hair was tangled, her once fine dress smudged with dirt and smoke. But her eyes, those clear, storm-gray eyes, met no one's gaze. She looked at the floor, still as a statue, while the judge shuffled papers with the slow finality of a man who'd already decided her fate. Judge Avery Townsend was not a cruel man, but he was tired. The kind of tired that seeped into the soul after years of trying to bring order to a land that resisted it. He'd presided over bandits, cattle thieves, and murderers, but never a woman accused of arson and murder in one stroke. "Miss Evelyn Hart," he began, his gravel voice echoing off the walls, "you stand accused of burning down the Macon Ranch, property of Mr. Jeremiah Macon, and in that fire, one man lost his life. Do you have anything to say before I deliver judgment?" The crowd leaned forward like wheat in the wind. Evelyn lifted her head, the movement small but sharp. "Only that I didn't mean for anyone to die," she said softly. Her voice cracked, thin as the glass in the courthouse window. "I didn't set the fire out of hate. I was trying to stop something worse." Laughter rippled through the crowd, cruel, mocking. "Stop something worse." Old Martha Lyle snorted from the front row. "You burned a man's livelihood. You're the devil in a dress." The sheriff shot her a warning glance, but the damage was done. Evelyn's eyes darted to the faces around her, faces that once smiled at her when she rode into town for flower or ribbons. Now they looked at her like she was a snake coiled at their boots. Judge Townsend sighed. "Miss Hart, you've given us no evidence, no witnesses, and no reason to believe this fire was anything but deliberate. The law must stand." He adjusted his spectacles, ready to speak the words that would decide her life. But before he could, the courthouse doors swung open with a sharp crack. Every head turned. A man stepped inside, tall, broad-shouldered, with the worn look of someone who'd lived more on horseback than under a roof. His boots were dusty, his hat low over his brow, and a hint of dried blood stained his shirt collar. He carried the smell of rain and distance, a stranger, but not one easily ignored. Sheriff Cole straightened. "Can I help you, mister?" The newcomer tipped his hat, his voice steady but edged with steel. "Name's Rhett Callahan, and if you're fixin' to hang that woman," he nodded toward Evelyn, "you best hear the truth first." A murmur rippled through the room. Evelyn's eyes widened, shock and fear mingling on her face. "Rhett," she whispered, breath catching in her throat. He looked at her, and for a fleeting moment, the world outside ceased to exist, the crowd, the judge, the courtroom. It was just them, two souls bound by something deeper than law or luck. Judge Townsend's gavel struck the table. "Order. Who is this man, and what business does he have interrupting my court?" Rhett took a slow step forward. "My business, Your Honor, is truth. And I reckon the woman you're about to condemn saved more lives than she ever took." Gasps filled the room. Townsend leaned back in his chair. "That's a bold claim, Mr. Callahan. You care to back it up?" Rhett nodded, his jaw set. "I was there the night of the fire." The courthouse erupted, voices clashing like thunder. "You're lyin'," someone shouted. "He's tryin' to save his sweetheart." But Rhett didn't flinch. "I ain't askin' for your belief," he said, voice rising. "Just your ears. 'Cause what happened that night ain't what y'all been told." Townsend eyed him carefully. "You have 5 minutes, Mr. Callahan. Speak wisely." Rhett stepped closer, his boots echoing against the wood. He looked not at the judge, but at Evelyn, his words meant for her as much as the court. "The fire started at the north stable," he began. "But it wasn't Evelyn who lit it. It was Jeremiah Macon himself. The bastard had been runnin' whiskey through the ranch, a whole smuggling ring hid right under the sheriff's nose. When Evelyn found out, she tried to stop him. She went there that night to warn his men, tell him to clear out before the law came down on him. But Macon caught her. He paused, letting the room soak in the words. He had a lantern in his hand. I saw him, wild-eyed, drunk. He swung it at her, missed, and it shattered against the hay. The fire took hold fast. I pulled Evelyn out before the roof caved in, but Macon, Rhett's voice faltered. He didn't make it. The room fell silent, the kind of silence that suffocates. Judge Townsend rubbed his temple, eyes narrowing. You have proof of this encounter. Rhett reached into his coat and tossed a small metal badge onto the table. It was burned around the edges, half melted. Macon's sheriff's contact badge, he said. Found it in the ashes. Proof he wasn't just a rancher, he was in deep with folks runnin' liquor cross-state. Sheriff Cole stepped forward, frowning. That badge, that's real. Gasps, again. Evelyn buried her face in her hands. For the first time, the weight she'd been carrying cracked, and a sob escaped. Rhett turned to her, voice soft now. You tried to tell me to stay away that night. Said trouble was comin'. I didn't listen. Guess I never do. But I won't let them take you for savin' us all. Judge Townsend exhaled slowly. Mr. Callahan, this is a serious accusation. You're suggesting Jeremiah Macon was involved in organized crime and died by his own recklessness. Yes, sir, Rhett replied, unwavering. And if I'm lyin', hang me with her. But I ain't. The old judge leaned back, gaze flicking between the cowboy and the broken woman beside him. Outside, thunder rolled, soft, distant, like the breath of justice waiting to fall. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke quietly. This court will recess for 1 hour. Sheriff, secure the evidence. And Mr. Callahan, he hesitated, as if weighing something heavy. Don't leave town. Rhett tipped his hat. Wasn't plannin' to. As the gavel struck, the crowd began to scatter, whispering feverishly. Evelyn stayed seated, tears streaking her dirt-stained face. Rhett approached, and she looked up at him like a drowning woman seeing shore. Why'd you come back? She whispered. He smiled faintly. Guess I couldn't stand the thought of the only good thing in my life dyin' alone. Her hand trembled as he brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. You shouldn't have. Too late for shouldn't, darlin', he said softly. I'm here now. And I'll stay till the end. The rain began to fall outside, tapping against the courthouse windows like fingers on a drum, the heartbeat of fate. And somewhere beyond that storm, destiny waited, sharp as a bullet, tender as a promise. The rain didn't stop all night. It drummed against the courthouse roof, washing the dust from the streets of Dusthaven, as if the heavens themselves were trying to cleanse what the law could not. Inside the small cell behind the sheriff's office, Evelyn sat on the narrow cot, staring through the bars at the dim lamp that burned outside. Her hands trembled in her lap. She wasn't afraid of dying, not really. She was afraid of what would be left behind. The whispers, the lies, the silence that came after a name was buried. The door creaked open. Sheriff Cole stepped in, his expression carved in shadow. Reckon you got yourself one hell of a guardian angel, he muttered. Evelyn didn't look up. Rhett's no angel. Just a man who don't know when to quit. Cole leaned on the bars. He's stirrin' up trouble. Says he's got proof Macon was smuggling liquor through the hills. But if that's true, he paused, his eyes narrowing. Then I've been keepin' the wrong kind of peace in this town. Evelyn finally met his gaze. You always wanted peace, Sheriff. But peace built on lies don't last. He studied her for a long moment, then turned and left without another word. Across town, in the saloon that never quite slept, Rhett Callahan sat at a corner table, his hat tipped low and a bottle of rye between his hands. The piano had gone quiet. Men who once laughed loud now spoke in whispers, eyes flicking his way like moths avoiding flame. He didn't blame them. Dusthaven had always been a town that loved a hero, so long as he didn't upset the wrong devils. A figure slid into the chair across from him. It was Deputy Holt, young and sharp-jawed, too proud for his own good. You sure you wanna die for that woman? Holt asked, voice laced with curiosity and contempt. Rhett didn't lift his eyes. Ain't dyin' for her. I'm livin' for what's right. Holt chuckled. That's the same thing out here. He tossed something on the table, a folded letter, edges smudged with soot. Found this in the Macon place. Looks like it was addressed to you. Rhett unfolded it slowly. The handwriting was unmistakable, Evelyn's. Rhett, it read, if you get this, don't come lookin' for me. Some things you can't fight with a gun. Some fires you just gotta let burn. His jaw tightened. The letter was dated the night before the fire. She was tryin' to protect me, he whispered. Holt shrugged. Or she was coverin' her tracks. Hard to tell with women like her. Rhett's eyes flashed. You ever talk about her that way again, I'll show you what's hard to tell. The deputy paled, stood, and walked off, but not before muttering, you can't save her, cowboy. Town won't let you. Rhett poured another drink, but the whiskey tasted like ash. He knew the deputy was right, the town was hungry for someone to blame. And when a place like Dusthaven got hungry, it didn't stop till it was fed. Morning came slow, gray, and cold. The courthouse filled again, the air heavy with anticipation. Judge Townsend sat stern behind his desk. Sheriff Cole stood beside him, and Rhett waited near the front, hat in hand. Evelyn was led in, pale, tired, but proud. The gavel struck once. This court will resume, Townsend announced. Mr. Callahan, you've brought forward new evidence. The badge, the letter. But this court deals in fact, not sentiment. Do you have anything further? Rhett stepped forward. Yes, Your Honor. I got a witness. The crowd gasped. Even Evelyn looked at him, startled. Who? The judge asked. Rhett turned toward the back door. Come on out, Amos. A man hobbled in, thin, weathered, one arm in a sling. The town's blacksmith, Amos Griggs. He'd been missing since the fire. I was workin' for Macon, Amos said, voice rough. He paid me good money to fix up wagons that hauled more than cattle. Barrels of whiskey, marked as feed. The night of the fire, I saw him fightin' with the girl. She tried to stop him. He swung at her. Next thing I knew, the hay went up. The courtroom erupted again, shock, disbelief, denial. Judge Townsend pounded the gavel. Order. Order in this court. Rhett turned to the crowd. You all wanted the truth. Well, there it is. She didn't burn this town's future. She saved it. For a moment, silence. Then an old ranch hand in the back whispered, Macon always did have more money than sense. Another voice joined. I heard he was runnin' liquor. The tide was turning, slow but sure. Townsend looked down at Evelyn, then at Rhett. Miss Hart, do you have anything to say? Evelyn rose to her feet. Her voice trembled but carried across the room. All I ever wanted was a place that wasn't run by fear. I tried to stop him because I knew if I didn't, more people would die. I ain't askin' for forgiveness. I just want the truth known before I'm gone. Townsend's eyes softened, just a little. The court finds insufficient evidence for conviction. The charges are dropped. Miss Hart, you are free to go. The room exploded in sound, disbelief, outrage, relief. Rhett smiled faintly, and for the first time in months, Evelyn breathed. But just as hope flickered back to life, a gunshot cracked through the open window. Evelyn gasped, a crimson bloom spreading across her shoulder. Rhett caught her before she fell, eyes wide with fury and fear. He looked toward the window, saw a shadow fleeing into the rain. Judge Townsend shouted for the sheriff. Chaos erupted. Rhett pressed his hand against the wound. Stay with me, Evie. Stay with me. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Guess even freedom's got a price. Don't you say that. His voice broke. You ain't done yet. Sheriff Cole rushed to the door, rifle in hand. Holt's gone, he shouted. That bastard shot her and ran. Rhett's blood went cold. The deputy. The one who couldn't stand the truth. He looked at Evelyn, pale but breathing, and whispered, I'll bring him back. Then he was gone, out the door, into the storm. The streets of Dusthaven blurred under the rain as Rhett saddled up, rage and love pounding in his veins. Somewhere out there, justice wasn't done yet. And this time, the cowboy wasn't coming back empty-handed.